Hello! It's been a while since I flew this aircraft, and I've just realised today, after somebody else mentioned it, that I've never actually recorded with it. So I've flown it all over the place, but I've never actually recorded with it. So here we go. We're going to have a look at the Lockheed Electra in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So this is the Model 10E, made famous in the special variant by Amelia Earhart in her round-the-world trip where she disappeared. So we're going to take it up for a flight. We are at Martha's Vineyard in the US. So we're going to take it up for a circuit of the airfield. We're going to power it up from cold and dark just to see how you do that and have some fun with it, see how it flies. Okay, so we'll go and have a look around first outside. So you can see it's really nicely modelled. It's made by Aeroplane Heaven, by the way, and it's not very expensive either. So we'll have a quick look around it. You can see it's got all the bump mapping and the reflections. So Flight Simulator does reflective metal very, very well, it has to be said. And I'm running in the simulator in Ultra, so that may have a bearing on the reflections. I'm also using DLSS for the anti-aliasing. So it still looks very, very good though. It's on balanced mode, by the way, the DLSS. Okay, so let's go and have a look with the drone camera and go in a little bit closer and just have a look at some of the modelling. It looks very good, doesn't it? So if we skip sideways, yeah, look at that, that's ridiculous, isn't it? So you can see the reflection of the clouds behind me in the boss on the front of the propeller and on the cylinder heads. That's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, enough fun and games, let's have a look inside. So here's the aeroplane, cold and dark on the ground as it comes out of the box, and we'll go through, power it up and take it for a quick fly around the vicinity. So the first thing we want to do is make sure the carb heats are on cold. Now they're down here and you can see both carb heats are on cold, which is good. Mixtures need to be rich, so this is one that can throw most people. The mixture levers are over here. Notice rich is to the back, not to the front. Most aircraft you push forwards for a rich mixture. On this one you pull back for a rich mixture. Okay, so we need to turn on the electricity, so master on and auxiliary power on. I don't think we actually need auxiliary, so we'll leave it off for the moment. So at this point we are going to start the engines, so we would, of course, now we have power, the radios are working even though there's a bit of a bug there. That's an interesting one, isn't it? So let's go and just for the moment to shut up the radios, we'll go and switch on the avionics master so we can see the frequencies, and we're going to go and change the comm frequency to something completely different. So if we go in over here and have a look at it, I'm just going to change it to 120 for example. I think, do we just click on this to, I can never remember this, how it works. There we go, you just click the middle of the knob. It's a bit of a unique design, let's put it that way. Okay, so we've shut the radio up so we won't get ATC talking at us now. So we've got the mixtures on rich, we've got the electricity on. We need to go and turn some lights on to inform people on the ground what we're up to. So navigation lights go on and the rotating beacon light goes on. Okay, we need to go and look at the fuel levers now, which are just here, and we need to put them both to main. So we click on that one and that one, so both selected to main for the fuel tanks. And then we're going to go looking up overhead and go to, we're going to do several things in a row here. So let's go and have a look. We're just going to push the throttles open gently a little bit. We're going to do several things in a row. We're going to turn the magneto for the left engine to both. We're going to turn the primer to left. We're going to turn the boost pump to left. And then we're going to hit the starter for the left engine. If you just leave everything alone, the two switches for the primer and the starter fall back into the middle all on their own, which is good. Then we do the same again. So right engine, turn the magnetos to both, boost pump to right, primer to right, starter to the right engine. We should see the right engine burst into life, and there it goes. So once you'll see the over here, you'll see the oil pressure climbing and the fuel pressure. It's all looking good, so you've got both engines here. So then once the engines are up and running, you can turn the alternators on. So we've got the right alternator and the left alternator, and after doing that you'll see them starting to generate electricity, which is good. And then we can turn the boost pumps off. We only need the boost pumps to get the engines running. At this point, the manual says we should be able to play games with turning the ignition back to the magnetos to left and right and cycling them to see the prop RPM drop, but I've not actually seen it do that. You can see I've got one lever slightly out of touch, so you can see the RPM. If I rev one engine up, you'll see it all reacts nicely, as you'd imagine. But the RPM of the engines does lag a little bit behind because of momentum, I guess. Okay, so at this point we are getting ready to taxi. So we go and look down here, we'll turn on the taxi lights, we'll put the landing lights on at the same time so we don't have to worry about it. And should we go and have a look outside and see what those lights look like? See if we can actually see them. They're not tremendously bright, are they? They're not actually lighting up anything to speak of. And we've got the rotating beacon there, it's flashing away. Okay. This is probably the noisiest aeroplane in Flight Simulator, by the way, so how Amelia Earhart and Fred Doonan didn't go deaf, I'm not sure. Is it Doonan or Noonan? I can't remember. Okay, wheel brakes off. We're going to go and look outside quickly and see the flaps are moving, they're just very quiet, being drowned out by the engines. And we're going to ease the throttles forwards and taxi out onto the runway. So as soon as we have it moving, we should just be able to sit at idle and just roll along. Okay, so if we press space, we do get to see a bit further, but you can see there's a clipping error there with the ceiling, where our head actually goes too far. Let's go and press B to calibrate the altimeter. We can press D to calibrate the compass, and that becomes important in this aeroplane because the binnacle compass and the gyro compass will differ from each other over time. The Sperry autopilot, I'm not going to get into it today. It's it takes a while to learn the ins and outs of it. It's not an autopilot, it's kind of a gyro-driven rudder. But it does work. It's just very slow and very cumbersome. Okay, so let's look out down the runway, and there's a van parked in the runway, because of course there is. Oh, it's getting out of the way. Just tip the screen down a little bit. It does frustrate me a little bit. There's several aeroplanes where you have to modify the default view. You would think they would set up the F key to set the default view to look in the right place. So I'm just easing the throttles forwards a bit at a time. Putting in a small amount of right stick to hold the centre line. So I'm on about 80% throttle. You can see I've got pretty good rudder authority as we roll along. This is a tail dragger. So pull up and it jumps into the air. And we can lift the undercarriage. So if we go outside, you can see it comes up quite quickly. And we're off. It's very, very easy to fly. So we're going to turn reciprocal. So basically turning to 60 degrees. Come back to 50% throttle.
See, binnacle compasses, this is actually quite an accurately done one. Look, when you're banked it gives you a false reading. You have to be very careful. So you can use the gyro compass. You just have to be aware that after doing hard turns the gyro compass will drift from the magnetic compass. Let's have a look outside. It's kind of interesting if you have a look around inside. There's quite a lot of interactive bits and pieces, so you can open the windows. They don't make any difference to the sound though. It's just incredibly noisy no matter what you do. So this is made by Aeroplane Heaven, as I said, and I think it's one of the earlier ones they made for Flight Simulator. And I think kind of they've been learning as they go. So this isn't perhaps as high fidelity as some of the later aeroplanes, but it's still great fun. So we're going to pull the throttles back. So that you can see we've got airspeed over here, another one over here. We've got attitude indicator here, altitude. You've got vertical speed indicator, side slip indicator, or turn coordinator, whatever you want to call it. And you've got ADF. Also got a nav radio here, which is obviously a modern add-on to the aircraft. There's the runway. I pull the throttles back to idle. I'm going to turn again and do another circle. Because you will notice this thing doesn't slow down easily. It's very sleek for its time. Obviously, because you know there's no undercarriage hanging down, so I'm just losing some speed so we get to a safe speed to drop the undercarriage, which we're now doing. If you've never seen Martha's Vineyard, you might recognise the bit we're just flying over right now. This is the lagoon from Jaws. Edgartown in the distance over there is Amity from Jaws. So that bridge, and that's where the shark swam into the lagoon in Jaws. Apparently it's quite the tourist spot for people to stand on that bridge shouting shark, which probably winds the locals up no end. Okay, so I've dropped the flaps. We're just about in the right place now to come in and land. As I said, it does have a gyro-driven rudder, and elevator controls. So you can get the aeroplane to stabilise itself, but it's not an autopilot in the modern sense at all. It is quite cool. You've got two nav radios, therefore you can switch the navigation instrument over here between the two of them with the little switch here. Okay, we're at full flaps, gear down. And you can see we're cruising in 80 knots and not really losing any speed. There's a heavy, sleek lump, I think is the best way to describe it. But it's very, very docile, very easy to fly. So the speed is just starting to bleed off, look, you can see that happening. So I'm going to open the engine slightly. Obviously you can play with the propeller RPMs and things like that as well to manage your approach.
It's not a very fast aeroplane, so you get lots of time to plan your approach. So you can see now we're getting a little bit more alpha. We're bleeding off more speed more easily. I'm able to open the throttle. And it's starting to sway around where it's hanging on the wings a bit now, which a lot of planes of this size and type tend to do. So let's just cut the throttle and let it fall. But there we go, just touch the ground. Again, steering authority is very good, just testing it there. I think we pretty much did a 3-pointer there. Wasn't bad. Okay, so flaps can come up. They take a while to come up. You can see them coming back up there. It's probably some sort of worm gear motor going on there. And we'll taxi in. As with any kind of big tail dragger, the easiest way to taxi, if you do need to use any throttle, is to just give it some back stick so the thrust over the tail forces the tail wheel into the ground. Then you get good purchase on the ground and the plane will steer easily. Okay. I think we just crossed the grass here, don't we? Looking at the yellow lines. There's an AI RV-14 doing pirouettes where we would like to be going, so I'm going to cut straight across the grass. Okay, let's bring this to a stop. So parking brakes back on. Easiest way to stop the engines will obviously be to starve them of fuel, which we can do very easily. You can see it's just killed them instantly. And then obviously you're going to go and turn off the ignition, also the magnetos. And don't need to do anything with the pumps. We can turn the alternators off. We're not generating electricity from them anymore. Go and turn all the lights off. And avionics off. Master power off, and we're done. Okay, so there we go, a very quick look at the Electra. Let's go and have a look down inside the cabin just so you've seen it. And I don't know if this door opens actually. Obviously you can fly straight through it, and it's really nicely modelled actually inside the cabin. I'm not sure if things like this door will open. There may be some hidden switches or click spots. I've not really done a lot of research. But it's a nicely modelled aeroplane. As I said, it came out quite early after Flight Simulator came out, so there's probably a lot of things in it that Aeroplane Heaven have improved upon over the time. I don't know if they'll revisit it and update it. So it's but I like it. It's good fun to fly, and it's kind of, there's always that nagging challenge: can I recreate Amelia Earhart's flights with it? So you should be able to, because it does come with the special version of the Electra, which has got, instead of any seats in the back, it's just full of bladders for fuel. Anyway, there you go. I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you again soon.